But since then, I've got a couple warrants, so let's do no fingerprints. It's backwards.
That makes you in.
Ronald Ray Bryant, aka Baby Bash, born October 18th, 1969. He wasn't a household name like 50 Cent or Kanye West. His image wasn't polished by the same machine that shaped pop icons, nor did he carry the kind of public persona that demanded headlines. But in the early 2000s, Baby Bash found himself in the rare position of striking platinum with a hit that cut across genres and borders. Smooth, melodic, and soaked in West Coast sunshine, Suga Suga became the kind of song you didn't just hear, you felt. The breezy track featuring R&B singer Frankie J was impossible to ignore. Released in 2003, it didn't just chart, it infected radio, soundtracked summers, and turned Baby Bash into a seemingly instant star. Yet, like many others, the fame turned out to be rented, not owned. For a moment, it seemed like he might join the ranks of crossover hip-hop artists who could walk between mainstream radio, Latin music circles, and the streets with ease. His sound, heavily influenced by his Mexican roots and California upbringing, was different. Laid back, melodic, and unapologetically smooth in an era when rap was increasingly defined by aggression, flash, or pain. He didn't spit bars to prove dominance or deliver coded street sermons. His lane was flavor, romance, and radio-ready hooks. He was riding high until the industry evolved and left him parked on the shoulder. Despite having 2 platinum singles, Suga Suga and Cyclone in 2007, Baby Bash's star never rose higher than that initial spark. And that's where his story gets interesting. He wasn't a one-hit wonder, he had talent, loyal fans, and industry support for a brief period. But he never became the artist people remember when talking about the 2000s era of music. His name began to fade from the covers, the charts, and the conversation. I wouldn't say he disappeared because he didn't. He still continued to make music, tour, and feed his niche fan base, but he became a name people recall with a tinge of confusion. Didn't he have that one hit? Or maybe 2? What happened to his momentum, the fame, the promise of something greater? His was a career with all the makings of longevity until it wasn't. And that raises the question far more interesting than where is he now? It's why didn't Baby Bash become a star? What slowed down his run? And what can we learn from how quickly things can change even after a platinum plaque? What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Street Dreams on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Baby Bash is an artist born in Vallejo, California to a Mexican mother and white father, but raised by his grandmother after his parents went to jail. Growing up in a culture-split environment, it later shaped his genre-blending sound. Originally performing under the name Baby Beach as part of the group Patna Deuce, and later the Latino rap collective Dope House Records in Houston, he slowly built a name in underground circles throughout the 90s. His music was West Coast in tone, but laced with Latin flavor and Southern bounce, a unique mix that caught ears but didn't yet catch fire. Everything changed when he signed with Universal Records. A label executive suggested he needed a radio hit to cut through, so Baby Bash asked his producer Happy Perez to craft a smooth, catchy beat designed for mainstream appeal. The result was Suga Suga, a song born from strategy more than inspiration, and it worked. The track catapulted him to national fame and a platinum album. Stunt number 1, No Clear Identity. Baby Bash's first major roadblock wasn't a lack of talent, it was a lack of identity. In an era where rappers had to come with something you couldn't forget, Baby Bash blended in too easily. When you think about the names that rose around the same time, they all had something unmistakable. 50 Cent had the bulletproof backstory and magnetic aggression. Kanye West had the pink polo, the chip on his shoulder, and the sound of a movement. Even less lyrical artists like Nelly carved out a lane with unforgettable delivery and Midwestern swagger. Baby Bash, he made vibes, smooth beats, laid-back flows, songs that were good but didn't grab you. His style was hybrid, part R&B, part rap, part Latin, and while that could have been a strength, it left him floating in the middle, never quite belonging to any camp. not hip-hop enough for purists, not Latin enough to ride the reggaeton wave, not pop enough to sell to the masses. Even his image played small. No signature look, no headline-grabbing behavior. He wasn't political, he wasn't controversial, he wasn't hood, he wasn't conscious, he was just chill, which worked for a hit single or two, but not for building a legacy. Music has always rewarded the extremes. You either stand for something or you stand out so much it doesn't matter. Bash, despite his charisma and songwriting ability, didn't give listeners a reason to follow his journey past the single. By the time Cyclone hit in 2007, 4 years after Suga Suga, most people didn't even connect the two songs to the same artist. Without a strong brand to anchor his artistry, Baby Bash became disposable. A name you knew but never understood. And in an industry that devours the forgettable, that was a silent death sentence. Stunt number 2, the industry moved on. Baby Bash's sound was tailor-made for a specific pocket of time. The early 2000s, when radio still ruled, ringtone rap was booming, and crossover singles could go platinum without needing TikTok or a controversial tweet. But the problem with a wave is it always crashes, and when the industry shifted, Bash didn't shift with it. His music was melodic, smooth, and heavy on hooks, a blend that worked when artists like Ja Rule, Nelly, and Chingy dominated. But as the mid-2000s gave way to a darker, more aggressive era, ushered in by the rise of trap, mixtape culture, and more emotionally raw rap, Baby Bash's lane shrank fast. By 2008, artists like Lil Wayne were flooding the market with high-output, high-energy records. Drake was just beginning to redefine emotional rap, and street-heavy artists like Jeezy and Gucci Mane were reshaping southern hip-hop. In that storm of change, Bash's laid-back style suddenly felt out of place. His 2007 hit Cyclone featuring T-Pain was his last real swing at the mainstream, and it connected, but it also leaned heavily on the sound T-Pain helped popularize. Bash, once the driver of his own musical identity, now felt like a passenger on someone else's wave. He released albums after Cyclone, but they arrived quietly. With no clear adaptation to the changing soundscape and no evolution in his messaging or production style, the industry slowly closed the door on him. Labels stopped pushing, radio stopped spinning. It wasn't that Baby Bash became worse, it's that everyone else got louder, faster, and more dynamic. And in the business of attention, standing still is the same as moving backward. Bash didn't reinvent, he didn't respond, he kept making the same kind of records hoping the moment would return. But it never did. The game had moved on and he wasn't invited. Stunt number 3, limited talent, limited ceiling. Here's the part people dance around when talking about Baby Bash, but let's keep it real. He was never that good of a rapper. In a genre that worships lyricism, delivery, and presence, Bash barely scratched the surface. His flow was serviceable, his writing generic, and his punchlines forgettable. If you strip away the smooth beats and catchy hooks from songs like Suga Suga or Cyclone, you're left with verses that could have been written by just about anyone. Bash benefited from timing and aesthetic. He came up during an era where the Houston sound was thriving, swanging beats, syrupy tempos, diamond grills, and slow-rolling confidence. Artists like Paul Wall, Slim Thug, and later Kurt Cobain gave that sound a polished identity. Bash rode that wave too. The problem was, when you listen closely, he sounded like Paul Wall, with less personality and none of the sharp wordplay. He had the look, light skin, braids, West Coast cool, but the deeper substance just wasn't there. No standout bars, no moments where his pen made you rewind a verse. He didn't have the storytelling chops, the emotional depth, or the technical finesse that allows artists to evolve and survive past their breakout hits. And unlike other limited lyricists who made it through with charisma or unique energy, Bash lacked that too. He wasn't enigmatic like E40, nor likable in a Nelly way. He didn't have the memeable charm of a Plies or the confidence of a Fat Joe. He was just there, a cool dude making decent but never great music. In hip-hop, talent matters eventually. Even with hits, there comes a point where the artistry has to carry you. Without that, and without the right people around to elevate his career, Baby Bash's trajectory was sealed early. The fame wasn't stolen, it was borrowed, and it ran out. All in all, Baby Bash was a product of perfect timing. An artist who coasted in on a wave he didn't quite create, with just enough appeal to score a couple hits but not enough to build a legacy. His smooth radio sound masked a shallow skill set, and when the industry evolved, it left him behind. Without a strong identity, the talent to reinvent, or the charisma to connect, his moment faded as quickly as it arrived. He didn't fall off, he settled into the background, still making music, still touring, but no longer chasing stardom. For Baby Bash, the growth was always limited, not by bad luck, but by a ceiling he was never built to break. His success was real, just not built to last. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, musically, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.